Today I want to show you how to start with adjustment layers. So let's get started. I'm on this link. So if I go to the calendar and I just click on adjustment layers, it takes me here. And then I'm going to click on, for exercise 1, the image of the barn, which looks like this. So when something's in Google Drive, you can't edit it in Google Drive. You need to download it. So I'm going to click on this tiny little arrow up here. And I should see down here if I'm in Chrome, there it is. And I've downloaded this before, so that's why the 4 is in front of it, because I have other versions on my desktop anyway. But if I click on this little arrow right here next to it, and I say Show in Finder, there it is. And I can take this image and drag it not into a file in Photoshop, but directly into the Photoshop icon. And what will happen is, if I do this correctly, it should open up directly in Photoshop. And if I bring this up, there it is. So I can see I have one layer. If I do it correctly, you can see that it fits directly in the image. So there's my image, and I need to have my layers open. So if they're not visible, again, you click on Window and then go to Layers and make them visible. So there we have it. Here's what I'm going to do to start off with. Let me show you some tricks. So I'm going to use something called an adjustment layer. It's down here on the Layers panel. Looks almost like I call it like a little yin yang symbol, because it's like, or a black and white cookie, depending on what you like to do. But check this out. If I go to, like, for example, brightness contrast, when I do that, it creates something called an adjustment layer, and automatically when I click on that adjustment layer, a properties panel will come up, and it'll have the properties that are controlled by this layer. So for example, if I wanted to adjust the brightness of this image, zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. So if I wanted to adjust the brightness of this image, I could scroll over. And the beautiful thing about this is, think of this as kind of like a filter that's resting on top of the image. So the image itself is still exactly the way it was, but the adjustment layer makes the appearance different. And that's why I really like using adjustment layers, because you still have the ability to edit this content even after you create the adjustment layer. Let's say that it looks like this is a nice spring day. Check this out. If I come on over here and I go to hue saturation, for example, I can change this to, oh, looks like a fall day now. Pretty cool, huh? Just by messing with that hue. Let's say if I wanted it to be a black and white image, or even more in color, like that's a little crazy. Don't go too crazy with this. I always say if people can tell you're photoshopping, you've got a little bit too far. But I could definitely bump up the saturation a little bit, so, and that just gives it a little bit more zing. So all of a sudden I've changed the season just by doing that. So each of these saturation or these adjustment layers does something different, and I suggest you take some time and look at those and just play around with those. And when you're ready to, you're going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to save it as a JPEG when I'm done. Okay. And I'm going to put my name on it. So barn, last name. Okay. And then I'm going to upload this to a folder to turn it in. It's just a quick exercise, ladies and gentlemen. So this shouldn't be hard. But back in Google Chrome, if I go over here, I'll put a link for this so you can upload it there as well. But I'll have a link here. So I'll just click on first period barn or 7th period barn and put it there. So that's the first of several adjustment layers. The next exercise is going to bring us to the image of the line, and I'm going to show you some more tricks in just a minute.